Hi, welcome to this little series called Take It, a guide to improvising. Now there'll always be times when you're playing when somebody will point at you and it's your turn to take a solo. What do you do? What goes through someone's mind when they have to take a solo? Now there have been huge books written on the art of soloing. There's so much to discuss about it. I've just got 3 lessons. But in these 3 short lessons, the idea is to give you an idea of ways you can think, things you can play that will give you the confidence to be able to take a solo without worrying about playing something that sounds awful. All of these ideas are used by professional musicians soloing at whatever level. They might use something from the lesson today, something from the next lesson, something from the lesson after that, and then on and on as they develop their performance techniques and their improvising techniques. But everything we do in here is used at a professional level when people improvise. In this lesson, we're going to look at the Major Pentatonic scale. And I've got some backing tracks. I'm going to show you the scale, show you some chord sequences that you can use it over, and you'll see it's a really powerful little tool. So what on earth is a pentatonic scale? Well, the pent might give you a clue. Pent as in pentagon, meaning 5. It's a 5-note scale. The pentatonic scale is made up out of 5 notes taken from a major scale. We all know that major scales sound do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's a major scale sound, it's a very familiar sound. We're going to take just some of those notes. They're on your screen now, and we're going to play the C major pentatonic scale. We're going to start on our C string open. Then we're going to play the 2nd fret of our C string. Then the E string open. Now the major scale would now play an F. We're going to miss that and go straight to the G at the 3rd fret of our E string. Then we go to our open A string. And the major scale would have a B here, but we're not going to play that. We're going to go straight to the C at the 3rd fret. So the pattern from the C string is open, 2nd, E string, open, 3rd, A string, open, 3rd. Now if you're counting, you might think, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 notes, Phil. That's because that last note is the same as the first note. We've covered a whole octave from C to C. But there are only 5 different notes: C, D, E, G, A. Now pentatonic scales have something quite important about them. They don't have any semitones in them. None of the notes in that scale are right next to each other. They're all a tone or a tone and a half, 3 semitones, apart. Or they're all 2 frets apart or 3 frets apart. And that's really good because quite often if we play a note against a chord when we're improvising, that one might sound great. The one that's probably going to sound the worst possible note is the one fret either way of it. None of these notes are next to another note, so we shouldn't have any of those horrible clangers when we're soloing. The pentatonic scale sounds great over any chord that belongs in the key we're in. We're in the key of C, and there are a bunch of chords all based on notes from the key of C. I'm going to play a little backing track now, and every single chord in this is only made from notes of the C major scale. And our pentatonic scale will work brilliantly over all of them. The chords are C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, and back to the C major 7 again. So I'm going to play a backing track now of those chords, and we're going to play just those 6 notes, the 5 notes of the scale and the octave C on the top. I'll play on the first time round, and then I'll let you just jam along and see what happens. Now can you see how you can't really go wrong? Okay, some of the notes will sound better, and if you just go, it's not really very musical, but you can hit any one of those notes and it will sound great over any one of those chords. Having that safety and security means that you are confident to hit a note and you're able to do little patterns of notes that you know are going to work. Now, of course, not every song is going to have those chords. Quite a lot of songs don't even have that many. They just have a few chords from the key. Now, a key thing to mention here, is that at the moment we're only using chords that are, here's a good word, diatonic. That means these are chords that only use the notes that belong in that key to build them. So every single chord you just heard was played on the white notes of a piano. We never added any of the black notes because they don't belong in the key of C. There will be times when you want to play in other keys. I'll tell you about that in a moment. And of course there will be times when we do use chords that are not in the key, and we'll cover that in the third lesson. However, lots of songs do. So I'm going to play you another backing track now, and this one just has these chords. You've played them 1,000 times. C, A minor, F, G. F, G, C, G. 4 chords. Now they're not as complicated as some of the chords we had in the first one. These are simpler chords, but that's fine because C, A minor, F and G are all built from notes that belong in the key of C. All of these chords belong in C, so our pentatonic scale should work a treat. So here we go, I'm going to put the backing track on and I'll play a little bit and then you can take over. Works great, doesn't it? Now we haven't got a lot of choice and it's quite easy to very quickly run out of ideas when you've only got that one octave. But of course we can carry on with the scale further up the neck. So if I show you the scale diagram again, I'm going to keep going up the fingerboard when I get to my octave, just repeating the notes that we've already used an octave higher. So we had C, D, E, G, A, C. So I could go up to the 5th fret and have a D an octave higher. That was one of our notes. I could also go up to the E, because that's one of our notes. That's the same as our open E string. I could then go up to the 10th fret to get my G, and I could even go up to the 12th fret to get my A. Now of course you could find all of those notes on all of the strings all over the neck, but for simplicity's sake we're going to stick with our 1 octave pattern down here and then just carry on up the A string. Notice an interesting thing? We're following the dots. So when we get to the 3rd fret at the top, we simply go to the next dot, the 5th fret dot, the 7th fret dot, the 10th fret dot, and I haven't got a dot at the 12th fret, but some ukuleles will have. Quite often, if you haven't got a dot, it's because it's the fret that is the last one as you get to the body. Depends on the size of your uke. But we can go all the way up to there. So let's put that song on again, but this time you can go all over the neck and you'll suddenly find you've got a lot more in the way of options and freedom. You'll start to hear things as you improvise with the Major Pentatonic that you might well have heard on records. You'll start to hear little patterns that you think, oh, that sounds a little bit like the riff or the solo from that song. So have fun playing around with that Major Pentatonic. If you want to know how to play those notes, those 5 notes, in another key, how to find them, I have a little video that shows a really neat trick using the circle of fifths to work out from the key you're in what will be the other 4 notes that go with that to make that Major Pentatonic scale. Play around with it, improvise to your heart's content, and I'll see you in the next lesson when we'll look at the Minor Pentatonic. Till then, bye bye.